Les internautes ne sont pas censés poser des questions. Hein. Alors là, je ne vois plus rien du tout. Ah, mais ça, c'est Médéric qui est en train de...
Ici, ça indique que c'est en direct.
Yes, but I don't see anything. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to that sixth and last talk gathering filmmakers who were selected in the international short and medium competition. And for that last talk, we decided to choose, I would say, a current theme by the time being, that is to say, how to film under certain circumstances and constraints when the social and political order is impeding somehow filmmakers to go on filming freely. I would like to not both, but all of you, maybe to introduce yourselves briefly and describing in a few words what your films were about. Maybe we can start with Yeon, I don't know, and then we are doing the circle.
Okay, so my name is Yeon Park. I directed Homegoing. My film was shot during the pandemic, in the early stages of the pandemic where I had to stay inside. And it talks about the feelings of being at home and sort of wanting to go to this other home that I'm from. And it's also a process of me and my husband waiting for our green cards that will allow us to return home.
Thank you. Andrea?
I'm Andrea Schramm, the director of 27 Steps. My father died on the third day of the first lockdown, and I was with my mother in her apartment, 49 square meters, full of grief, and I did a film about this time.
Where?
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 Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, this is Weijia Ma from China. I'm the director of My Quarantine Bear. So about this film, it was an accident. So I went to France for my animation production. Then I got stuck there, and then finally I got tickets to came back to Shanghai. So I filmed during the way by using my phone most of the time, and also my laptop during the quarantine. So it's a film about my trip back from Paris to Shanghai, then the 14 days quarantine in Shanghai.
Then Fabrice.
Yeah.
And yes, Fabrice Aragno, I film Parenthèse, just a small moment, edit of moment from my home during the first confinement, lockdown, sorry. And it was just on my balcony, just behind my home. It's a place between home and there was a lost garden. I don't know if we can say lost garden. And yes, I spent all day during the 2 months of the lockdown on the end of the day at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the afternoon, just waiting and watching. And it was just before thinking to make a film or an edit, or just a pleasure to watch, just a pleasure to feel time, and to feel the first beginning of the what do we say, les feuilles?
Leaves.
Huh?
Leaves
from the trees appearing, but all this spring arriving in this time between two moons. I did like 2 moons, the first moon and the second moon, beginning of the moon. It makes like a parenthèse. Just this, it was just a pleasure to watch and to feel.
Maybe I can go back to Andrea, because listening to what was I would say the purpose, but it wasn't really a purpose, just to watch. There's not intention. I mean, an idea constructed and developed through the act of filming. You were just here, Fabrice, watching and waiting for something to happen, very, very small things, and pay a new attention of something that maybe you were quite indifferent before that specific period just happened. So I would say that Parenthèse is about watching life outside going on. Andrea, it was a completely different gesture, because you had to keep a track of what was disappearing and the disappearance of your father. Could you explain to us maybe a bit further? How did you decide? Maybe you were working on something completely different, on a different project, and then this time is erupting, and you decide, I would say, urgently to do something about that, to keep a track or keep a recall also.
I mean, you know, I was sitting over hours and days together with my mother in this apartment, and there were no people could come to us because there was a contact ban. And so we were alone, you know, and my father was dead since 3 days, and this was so strange. And all the condolences just over the phone. No one was coming. We were completely alone. And so I decided to record the phone calls, because I thought I couldn't understand the situation in that moment because it was too strange. But I decided to record the phone calls, and I hoped to understand the situation later. So there was no idea in my mind to make a film about this, just to record the phone calls. And some months later, I did the pictures for that in the apartment.
And what was the twist between I would say, the instinctive recording of the phone calls and the moment when you are creating pictures around that with a DOP, Christian Mess?
Yeah, because first I thought it's just my story and just I'm in the situation. But then I felt that my situation is, or all the other people are also isolated. And I had these pictures in my mind for my personal story, but it was also the story of all of us, because we all are isolated in rooms. And so I decided to make the film and to bring these pictures from my head out. And I want to give space for associations. Therefore, there are no people in front of the camera, just the voices, which have, I think, a strong intimacy. And the pictures are more no close-ups. You know, they are very, how you say, not close. They are long shots. You know, so I hope to give space for association for all these other guys who were in rooms and isolated, and so this was my intention.
Do not hesitate just to jump and to discuss with each others if you want to just break the cycle and just react of what you are saying.
I was
different little.
I was gonna say something to Andrea. I found your images very touching. It was because of the distance that you were talking about, that we kept that distance to this apartment, because there was your father was used to live in there, and then now he's gone. So with that distance, I definitely feel the lost in the images. And also I feel very touching by see the details, especially the textures of the walls and the floor and all that, everything, those details just represents all the life, the still life in the images that I found very beautiful.
They lived there for 62 years. 62 years. I mean, that's,
wow.
But the worst thing was that no one could come to us, because usually that's a little village and people come and they raise the glass of wine for the deceased. You know, it's all hugging, and but we were alone, and this was this was very difficult for me to accept the situation.
I also, sorry. I also thought it was touching, also because it was in black and white, and I really loved the texture and was curious if you used film, and what was your decision behind making it black and white?
Because I tried to translate my feelings into a cinematic language, and there was no color, there was no movement. I think the biggest movement is a little fly on the couch. You know, everything was very, there was no movement, just empty rooms and very static. And Sebastian, a very good camera guy, shooted on a little camera. But we tried to make the post-production in a special way that you can see the texture, and that it's not so clean, that it's more living, so the pictures.
Yes, and the black and white bring you a projection. You can project more. It's not just a house empty. You project more because it's black and white. So you have this distance. For this is beautiful. But did your father die for the COVID, or what?
Honestly,
was it something
we don't know 100%. He was very sick before, and he was 85 and very old. And he came to the hospital. It was on the first day of the first lockdown. And I don't know 100%, but probably not.
Okay,
probably
but
not.
it arrived, the two stuff arrived on you on the same time, so it's like puff when you.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what it was. I mean,
yeah, okay,
and I think it was a time where they didn't make tests because they believed he's very old, and they so.
No, but for your feeling, it would be, yeah, it's quite a global stop at the same time, like that.
And maybe Weijia and Yeon could also speak a little more, talk about your own movies, because both of you are returning in a way, but in a very singular way, both of you. Maybe Yeon, that you were describing what was the purpose, but Homegoing is very staged. And it's staged between, I would say, something you are waiting for, the green card, and also the longing of the home country. And you will be disappointed also of that return. So could you explain to us a bit more the process of filming and staging with your mate between California and Seoul?
Yeah, so I, like other people, I wasn't really intentional about making this film at the beginning, because I had this other project that I was going to make for my thesis film, and I had a few shoots scheduled and everything got canceled, but I still had to make something. So I guess for me, I had more pressure to come up with something. So I just started filming because I think before making this film, I was working on a 3-minute video, sort of capturing my myself fighting the boredom during the quarantine. So it started from that because I just started filming because I was bored. That was the beginning. And then I continued filming because I had nothing else to film and I had to make something. So I just naturally started filming outside the window at first. I didn't want to include my husband in there because he was already frustrated and annoyed about the pandemic and I didn't want to bother him. But I just couldn't stop him because he was the only person in the space and I was constantly interacting with him. So I just started filming him without knowing where the film would go. And I was just always waiting for something to happen, like either this bird outside the window to fly away or just do something, or like bugs, or sometimes people would pass by and I would just watch them. But I lived in a suburban area, so there weren't that many people outside. So I was just filming and filming without any destination. And then I realized I'm just like in this perpetual state of waiting. And Jonghyun, my husband's, every day he went outside to check the mail. So like at one point I just realized that we're waiting for this. We're waiting for something, but we don't really know what we're waiting for. We're just waiting for this to end, but I don't know what I can do or if going back home is the answer, because I had doubts about that. Whereas my husband thought he would be happy if he went back home and that will just solve everything. So we had sort of this conflict because I didn't really think it was like dangerous to be in the US because we're inside and it's just you're bored, but nothing's really happening. And like, that's the challenge, but I didn't want to risk like traveling, go back home. So we had this like difference of ideas and I kept filming that.
So you were struggling, quarreling, and there was a camera between.
A little bit. I guess the tension was, so when my husband tries to order pizza in the film, that was like the most intense moment while filming, because I started filming without knowing that he would get annoyed, and then he got really mad and like he totally forgot that there was a camera. He started swearing and I just kept on filming and I tried to like calm him down, but I had this camera on and he was like, what you're filming? Like, can you just stop filming? And I was like, okay, I'll stop filming. And I like even recorded the moment of him asking me to stop filming instead of stopping filming like immediately. So I had those moments and I really didn't know how the film will end. I was just going to stop, I was just going to capture the moments of waiting and just have them on the film. And I didn't really know that I was gonna go back to Korea. So everything was uncertain, but I just kept on filming because I don't know what was on my mind, but I think from like one point just filming I just became so used to filming that it sort of became my coping mechanism to the pandemic, because one, like it helped me kill time. Two, it's helped me have this distance to things that were happening. So it was really hard for everyone to process what was going on, but I could have sort of justified as something's happening, but I'm filming. So like the act of filming is really important and there's meaning in it. So I really couldn't stop. And it's only when I went back home that I thought about the structure. So I didn't really know how it was going to be until I was there and I saw my husband play the same video game and I was looking out the window, filming birds outside. I mean, there were more things because it's Seoul and it's a bigger city. Then I realized that only after a few months of filming. So yeah, like
for you,
end of the production.
Sorry. Yeah. Go on.
No, without the lockdown, did you had the possibility to film so well the garlic? It's on your film, no? You film the garlic, la peau, c'est la. Comment on dit la peau de l'ail? On enlève la peau de l'ail. The garlic, garlic skin. I don't know in English. It's so beautiful. I don't know. If I say, wow. Without lockdown, did you had the concentration,
the idea popping up,
or the idea, or the vision of that all the garlic like
slowly growing.
Yes, like comme des ailes d'ange, like angel wings.
I love that.
Without lockdown, did you had did the lockdown give you sensitivity to to see in garlic some angel wings?
I totally agree, because first I don't peel garlics usually because I would just buy peeled garlics, but at that time I had limited access to supermarkets because I had to get them at Korean supermarkets and we didn't want to go outside. So I just ordered a bunch of garlics and started peeling them. So that would have not happened without the quarantine first. And there were a lot of moments where I was just doing something, and if I was just doing it without filming, I wouldn't really look at it closely. But because I'm filming through the lens and I'm like sort of doing these close-up shots and adjusting the light, then that's when I really pay attention to the beauty of it. So, and I think like at some point I was looking at the bird and sort of connected the two together, the garlic feather skins and feathers of the bird. And I think that only happened because I had so much time to think and reflect. Usually I just love going outside and hanging out with friends. So I don't really have time thinking on my own. I would rather think while I'm talking to other people, and I didn't have that. So yeah, I mean, like I would never have thought about it without the pandemic.
Yeah. No, for this, it's almost a strange moment. It's like making a film at school when you it's years that I finished my school. It's not, but when you have to finish your film in 2 weeks because it's just this is the theme of the discussion. La contrainte, the constraint.
Yeah.
Well, it's incredible when I don't like this film school. I'm a little, but the fact that in a film school you have to finish your film and you have to do your film that time, and you need to find the way to do it, and you can make something. And then after the school, when you can have time, you have difficulty to find the money to make the film, etc., etc. Yes, it's more hard to do something after the school than inside the school, just because it's too freedom, in fact. A little.
I agree, because I just graduated. I agree.
A big question. Too much freedom.
No, and some years ago, I did a work with people in jail. It was in a cinema workshop in jail, and with people there for years, and they never think about filming or have a camera or whatever. It was a little before the mobile phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm a little old, and it was so incredible. The thing between the camera, and the room, la cellule, is also a camera with a door, but with a little window as the objective. It was like in evidence that to be close in something, you can see something, and you can feel something more like Andrea, you talk about teleobjective, I don't know, a long focal, like focusing something. Mm-hmm. Filming is focusing something. When you have a focus in time for this lockdown, it's a way of being a camera, or well, it's not. I don't know what I say, but yes, so freedom is sometimes difficult. It's not that kind of freedom.
I agree. I think rules are the essential things for art, that you have to set rules for yourself. You have to play a game like, okay, I'm going to do this in this way. So I think that's a essential thing for art. And I definitely think in Yeon's work, she has an instinct for images, although you didn't know like how you at the time how will you organize things or the structure of things, but you have a instinct of the images as a filmmaker, that you would have this perspective to set the camera at a certain location to capture images. That I read the I don't know if you already got the idea to place the camera when you went back to Korea. But I read there were several same angled camera location as you capture your husband and you in different rooms although you're in the same house, but you captured that isolation even between you and your husband. And I think that was very interesting to me. And like you just said that you realized he was playing the same video game when he went back to Korea. So there's something about lost and sorrow of this drifting feeling, uncanny, definitely, in the images, that you keep the audiences waiting to see all these birds outside, the wind blowing the curtain, and you and your husband doing repeatedly doing the same thing. I think all these are very interesting, and then naturally give you the constructor later. Maybe you realized in the editing.
Yeah, so really great points. So at the beginning, the opening scene where my husband and I are in different rooms, I only came up with that because I was filming inside my apartment for months. So I had to come up with more creative angles because I was filming the same thing every day. So I was just moving my camera around because I had so much time and found that angle. And I think I had the instinct to capture the different spaces that we were in, not just the physical space, but we had different ideas about home. Because at one point he says he wants to go back. If we go to Korea, he wants to go home. Whereas I thought we're already inside our home, and I'm sort of tired of being at home. So it was really surprising when he said he wanted to go home in Korea, because I imagine him saying something like a restaurant, like his favorite restaurant, or seeing his friends or something like that. But he was like, I want to go home. So that's the moment that I realized that we had really different ideas, and I wanted to show that visually. And I think that sort of like split screen worked. And after going back to Korea and spending a few days, at the beginning, I didn't know that it was going to be that similar. So I was just filming outside the window like I did in California. And then I think like in the middle, like a week passed, and I realized that nothing's happening. I'm like still waiting for something to happen so that there's like the story evolves. But then I realized that it's the same, and maybe that's the story. So that's when I started intentionally looking for angles that felt similar. I started filming, looking for a bird, and I started filming the TV screen and my husband playing the video game, because that's the only thing he did aside from his work. And I was still watching YouTube videos, like vlogs of other people in quarantine and all those. There were a lot of weird videos on YouTube at that time. I mean, there were even some funerals, like live funerals that were on YouTube. Like I could see other people, like even dead people, like they were just like live streamed online. So I was looking for all of this online, and so I wasn't really in this space. I was just like more like I was traveling on the internet, and that was the same whether I was in the US or in Korea. So I think like, yeah, I was just aimlessly filming for a few months, and then when I understood the structure, then I started really looking for angles.
But this was a very touching moment. You came home, but you were alone again. I mean, it's and then the little dog came, and that's a deeper level of what is home, and is home still my home? And this was very touching for me, because I expected, you know, there coming maybe people, but it was the same what you said.
Yeah, that
because
was
we have always the impression that home has something very particular, and we cherish within our art. And you discover, that's what is so striking in Homegoing, that there is no differences between your home, or the fantasy, the phantasma, I would say, about your home and your current situation. You are building something which really constraint time and space, something like that.
Yeah, it was also strange because I don't really have a home in Korea, because this is where, so I got married at the same time as moving. So this is like my first home with my husband in California. So if I go back, it's either his parents' place or my parents' place, but my parents moved around a lot. So it's not like my childhood home. And I think it's the same for a lot of people, because people move around for work and school. So there's no really place to go back to. And even if it's my childhood home, like it will still feel different. So that's when I realized I don't really have a home in Korea. Like Korea is my home, but I don't really have that space where I feel like I can always go back to. So yeah, that's an idea that was there before the pandemic, but it grew even bigger when I returned home, because it's just this empty apartment without anyone. And maybe like home to me is my family, but because there's no one inside, it's just like a bigger place. But the dog was really funny because like he makes this strange noise, and I asked someone who knows a lot about dogs, and a friend of mine, and he told me it means that I'm here, come and find me. Like, where's everyone? Like that, screaming. So I thought that was really funny.
Aggressive.
Yes, and maybe
Yeah, I guess. Sorry, I guess even dog gets very bored without, you know, people fighting with him or going outside. Go ahead.
I said like maybe home is the other where we are. So the idea of home is maybe the other. Without saying l'enfer c'est les autres, but maybe yeah, the idea of how home is the one, because if you are with maybe someone else or alone, it's not the same home. So the idea of home is how we are, in fact, not just the architecture.
Yeah, I still haven't figured it out, because I try to feel at home wherever I am, but if you really ask me like where's your real home, I still don't have an answer to that.
No, it's touching as a feeling for making movies. Is like, yeah, a space, a mental space for living, in fact, or where we have to live. Huh?
That was also your case, Weijia, when you decide to record that burlesque or absurd diary of your quarantine.
Yeah,
but it's a travel, and it's paradoxical, because everybody is just locked down at home, trying to find new angles and trying to imagine what is going on outside, and you were outside, but you are in between also.
Shortly was outside, but then inside again. Yeah, I think the purpose of making this film is similar to just like other people. I try to recording this feels very unreal for me. I still, because that was at the very beginning of the breakdown in Europe. So like I worked in Strasbourg for 1 month.
You mean the lockdown? But
Lockdown,
everybody get very
you
nervous
know, like
breakdown
people,
also.
Yeah, people still try to figure out like how this gonna end. And then I think me too. I was thought about, this gonna end probably in 2 weeks. So I waited in France. So because I had a job to do, I waited there in Lyon to finish this film, and then that just not gonna happen. So I need to travel back to Shanghai to. But my home is is actually not in Shanghai. I work here. The same idea. I don't know if this count as home. And during the trip, I just saw. I think Chinese people are very. We are very careful. So like in the airport, a lot of people they wear goggles and wearing more than one mask on the face, or even wearing those raincoat and plastic things. So I made a lot of jokes about that. And then once I arrived in Shanghai, during our policy, I had to stay in the hotel for 2 weeks. I'm an animator, so I actually spent a lot of time inside, like normally. So I thought I can do this. There's no problem for me. 2 weeks is small cases for me. But really, after 1 week, I was losing my mind. I didn't get up for even people puts the food outside of my door. I just didn't want to eat it. I think for one day I lay in bed for more than 10 hours, don't have any ego to do anything. So like making this film really gave me a thing to do when you're really, because in the hotel room I only have, like, I calculated it in the film, like 11 meters to move. So yeah, I think making this film is not only that I bored, because I really need it, because I really feel losing my mind, not nowhere to go, and then I can only call friends or text them the whole time. So yeah, that was the purpose of making it.
Like lost in the highland. In a highland bed. So
yeah,
you say the bed is like an island, and you're in the like a Robinson Crusoe on your room.
And it's very playful also when you are trying to catch the guy who is just giving the meals and always trying to have a quick look at, but he always disappeared. He vanished just before.
Yeah, I actually tried other ways to get in touch with these, because I think there was the same girl who sent me food every day, but she was avoiding me. Even I tried to wrote notes for her, but that wasn't in the film. But I did that, and then I didn't get any feedback from her. And there was this one shot that I waited at the door for her to appear, and then I opened the door, see her, and then I feel she was really scared of me. Maybe she because of the virus. So I think was very tragic moments that I really tried to be in communicating with people. So,
but you manage in communicating with your neighbor.
Yes.
2 or 3 doors in front.
Yeah.
At the other side of the hallway.
Yeah, because we met at the airport before we got on the bus that sent me to the hotel. So you know that I think I'm not sure it was that clear that when you came back to Shanghai, they separate people from different districts. So there were signs that lead you to your district, and then they will put you in confinement in the hotel is in that district. So I went to the area. It was only me and that boy, and then I was late because they lost my luggage. So I was fighting with them at the airport about this, and then this boy was late because he couldn't find his friend. They're supposed to travel together, and his friend somehow couldn't. They couldn't let him go on the flight because he accidentally filled the wrong form, because in Chinese policy we need to report a document every day, in 2 weeks ahead before you going to taking the flight. So then I think he made a mistake. He sent something, said he got a fever or something. So he went to at the time he went to Paris airport. He got immediately took away by people, and then he couldn't get a chance to get on the flight. And then this boy I met, he didn't know about that, so he waited for him, and then it was complicated. So anyway, 2 of us losers from that flight missed the first bus. It was supposed at 2, and then so we waited until 8 to get another bus. So then we talked, and then I said, so we actually compared to each other, see who is more a loser. Definitely I win because I lost my luggage and I only got one sweater I was wearing. So he felt so sorry for me, and then he let me borrow the 2 shirts of him, and then that was the beginning of our friendship.
A friendship or a romance? A romance of the hallway.
That was just for a dramatic scene for the film only,
But it's really funny because you use your animator talent to stage or to mime a dance on your bed, on your island bed, as Fabrice was saying a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I love that. But I was doing that in the 3 in the morning because I also had a jet lag in my room, so I couldn't sleep, and I was doing that bear, and it was really difficult. So I spent a long time on the bear, and then I took it down for like 10 seconds and went to bed finally in the morning. Yeah, but it was fun, so it really helped me to kill time.
I was really crying with you when you lost your luggage, because I know this trip could be really specific because you're going to Shanghai from Paris and it's during the pandemic and the situations are different. But that moment, I was really feeling the frustration because you've already lost your daily lives and you're going back all of a sudden, and then you lost something more. And what are you going to do without the luggage? You would have stuff to play with during the quarantine. And when I saw your laptop, I was relieved that you at least
had your laptop. Yeah, I have internet at least.
So I think that sort of escalated the feeling of loss in the film, and there was a really tension. And even with your phone call in the hotel room, with the airport, that was just so crazy, the responses from the staff.
Yeah, and it was strange for some reason. The at their side it was so noisy when I called them, and for one moment I even thought about were they playing mahjong in that side. It was really strange for me. But the truth is, when I finally leave the hotel, and after 1 month I finally got my luggage, and 1 month, after 1 month, and it was mailed from Amsterdam. It was really strange.
It's really crazy.
Yeah. Crazy World.
Maybe we can also talk about the way that that situation that constraint you and also produces somehow creative derivation that was unexpected. Do you feel that this experience, that a big great bulk of humanity lived and shared, could be something for filmmakers that changed the way of approaching films and the way of imagining a new project and something that is that experience, that constraint experience, I would say, liberate a new energy towards filming and towards imagining things.
Yeah, definitely. I feel because this is my first time making a documentary. The process is actually the opposite to my animations, because I just finished a animation which is 15 minutes long, and me and my team, we spent 5 years on it. And yes, and it was totally planned ahead, and the scripts, we fixed it so many times, and the designs and anything. But for documentary, this time I feel it's a really the opposites. I pick up things really, it's implement. There's no plans, and then really organize things only at the post-production. And we add the text, the message on top of the image at the very end, actually, to be honest. So before was only the image and the diary text and the poem thing on the screen, and then later I think maybe better with a voiceover, and then with the text message to make it even dramatic. So all these experiences are very different compared to my other films. So I think it's definitely given me some new blood. So I'm thinking to making continue this experience of filmmaking, to use it definitely in the future, to making documentary, or combine things with animation. It's definitely a new path for me.
Yeon or Andrea or Fabrice, if you want to react or interact with what was said.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the structure, and I really like the rhythm of your film, like how you start filming chronologically, and then at one point I see different meals every day, and it sort of shows the passage of time. And I'm curious, and also there are a lot of activities and layers within your 2-week quarantine. And I'm curious how you came up with that editorial decision. Like, was it something that you came up with later after filming everything, or did you think about when you fill the meals, they're all sort of in similar framing, and also there's music breaks in between. So I was curious if you thought about these plans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely did. So when I was shooting at the airport in Paris, I didn't know that I will make a film. And then on the flight too, I just shoot things randomly. And then as I shoot more, I think I better make a film, because I will be in quarantine. It can be the thing I can do in the hotel room. So I had that idea of making a documentary. So I went to the hotel, and it's just a room and me. So there's no people to give me inspirations anymore. So I better, you know, list out things that I can do with the objects in the room and my daily life and myself. So I listed out, say, like wash my shirts, eating my meals, and you know, measuring the room. So I did a simple script, not a script, just listed out the things that I should do and I should film. So that was the plan. And then each day I would, you know, do those daily life thing, and then I would also try to figure out what's new that I can play with. So yeah, it's there was a simple plan at the hotel for all that, and then the editing came later. You know, like we kind of most of things are following the time chronological, and then but something is jumping like that.
No, I would say that Emmanuel, you asked about what the lockdown could create.
Fuel something new.
Yeah, but for me, it's always this thing that forward with all the techniques, digital, numerics, filming, we can do everything. We can film everything, etc. And we have too much. There is too much images always. There is too much possibilities. There is too much. Too much, and filming is not that. It's going to the less and to just to pure something, to something, la rareté, the rarity of something, of a moment, or well, already said. But for me, it was for this a possibility to focalize on something. It's like it's like filming in 16 or 35 when you cannot film too much. You have to choose or to select or to think of one thing. When you are blocked, but you have to, yeah. For me, it's a way of in the creative way, this idea of focusing on something. So when you are obligated to be focused, it's like, as we are creative, as like a creative, we use this as a creative way. I think, but we could. For me, it was yes, as I thought, the pleasure to see, to watch, to yeah, and to think about dialogue with just regard.
Gaze, the gaze, and what was in front of the gaze.
Yes, and the time. Yeah, right. Well, no, for me, it's I always problem with the too much techniques, possibilities. You know, on the edit, you can do everything.
True.
Well, sometimes I work with someone who edits his film on videotapes with video machine. It had only the possibility to add a shot and then another one and then another one. And when you want to change, it has to erase and to put black, or you get just 2 tracks for the sound. That's it. And when I work with him, I say, "Oh, I have a computer with 20 tracks." Say, no. Let's just 2 tracks, and with just 2 tracks of sound, you can imagine all the mixing possibilities, because you have just one voice, one music. So it's hard today to say to our computer and to our edit DaVinci or Avid or Premiere, I don't know what, stop, just 2 tracks. No video tracks, just one and another one. I was thinking also about the film of when we are talking about homes, rooms, about Robert Bresson, condamné à mort s'est échappé. I don't know in English the title of the film.
They're always translated, and I don't know them. the English translation.
Okay, bon, un condamné à mort s'est échappé. Well, I don't know if we can say the lockdown. It's like, but there's this kind of also in my mind, I just this kind of parallel between the purity of a cineast as Robert Bresson in the story of this and the way that we need to do, and it's so hard today to do it because we are into too much.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I think like sometimes you don't think it as a technology, like it can be form. Like as you said, there's 2 channels. It's of course it's limited, but think this way. It's also give you this unique form that's different than compared to other ways. So I think.
Maybe your next documentary film, will you do it with your mobile phone like that? Or will you say, maybe I will choose a Sony or a Canon or a Red or a camera, and someone will say, maybe use this, it's better this. Because there is a new camera now. Okay, maybe not to wear a stabilizer, and then they say stop. It's hard to say no. It's my mobile phone. Yes, but the quality of the mobile phone. Yes, it's okay. A mobile phone. We see with your film, it's no problem for the quality, but it's not it's a wrong question. The quality of the medium that we use to do it. So.
But another thing about the phone is, especially when I was at the testing part. I was holding it secretly.
Yeah.
Don't know if you can tell.
I could see.
It's a camera. I'm not. I wasn't able to do that. And there's another thing is when I did the nose testing, I didn't know the image looked like, because I actually just put my phone on the table, and it blocked the screen, so it's the screen is down. So I can't see how the image look like. I just have that feeling. So I just feel it can't capture the lamp. It can't capture these hand and my nose. So it's interesting thought about that. If it failed, it failed.
Yeah.
It was really effective because it sort of showed that the situation is out of your control. Like you can't really frame it, and just like the rawness of the situation, and it was really painful watching it.
It's complicated feeling.
If nobody's got more remark to fuel in the conversation, it's time to maybe say goodbye about that open question between what Fabrice was saying also, that less and maybe more constraint can create something more personal and also a more free.
The idea is that we use a constraint to make creation.
Yeah.
I can say it's a world with so much destruction. We have to counterbalance with creation. Don't say that we need to be constrained, no, but we have to use the constraints to create, and to because there is a lot of constraint. In fact, we said that it's freedom everywhere for the techniques, whatever. But there is the freedom is maybe the thing that is the most lost today. The idea of freedom, not the techniques, not the internet, but the freedom is really in a bad moment, in a bad mood. The idea of freedom today, though.
Yeah, but maybe freedom is also a question of singularity and peculiarity, and everybody has got to find its own path. Between conformism and something that just popping up. And I think that
in the political way, not the techniques of filming.
Of course.
I had a couple of questions, if it's okay.
It's okay.
I had a question to Fabrice about the sound design, because at the end it was very unexpected, like the really loud noise, and that's sort of like bookending the opening with people, and like at the beginning it was really like hectic, frantic, like the way it was cut, that sort of matched the sound. So I'm curious how you came up with that sound design.
But as I told you, I work with someone who just used 2 tracks. That's my problem, that I have to stop with only 2 tracks, but I always want to add maybe more. So at the end, it's a sound edit with some sounds that I take from the moment of that time. It was just after the lockdown, where everything was unblocking, and there was the manifestation everywhere in India, at the border in Turkey. There was fighting, but there was the I Can Breathe, George Floyd, in US. In France, it begin again the manifestation. So yes, so I just make some it's like a zapping, an audio zapping of the actuality at that moment. And also we are we are still in that lockdown. We are still in that in between. We are in kind of in between. We don't know exactly what will be next. We hope cinema will opening, theater, cultural, etc. But we are in between, in politics always. Also, it's really incredible this year, and in US, moving from all what happened in US with the election, and really, in the next election in France. So we are in. So I wanted just to during this lockdown was just a moment, a pause moment where time goes, the childhood goes, and just okay, we see the life after. I don't know, but we are still in the before. The after not yet come. I don't know.
Thank you. And my last question to Andrea. I was curious if you ever felt the urge to film more, maybe during the conversation, because you stuck to audio recording. And for me, I was filming too much every day because even though I had that constraint of just having this only my apartment to film, I was still filming a lot. So I'm curious if you came up with that constraint at the beginning, or if you ever filmed something at that moment.
No, never. I filmed later on, and I filmed no one picture more than is in the film. I think there are 38 pictures in the film, and these are all the pictures I shooted. There's no one more. And no, I never thought to film the people. It would be too close. And I tried to film with my phone first, but it was too private, too close. I want to have more distance and want to film it more in an artistic way. So with these black and white, with these special way to film, and just to put more distance, because it was a heavy time, of course. And so, I want to go through. And when I started, people said, oh, in 1 year, no one will remember, no one will see. And no one expected that we are in the same situation than 1 year ago.
So you sort of put more constraint than there had already been. And is that your approach to filmmaking in general, or was this something that?
No, it was very special for that film. Usually I am very close to people, I never did it like this. And I don't know if I will do it again. So.
I also have a question for Andrea. It's about the parts that you're actually shooting outside the house. There were the scene of the streets and the scene outside of the hospital. So those parts that when did you go back to the place? So you recorded the phone call first, and then you went back to the
Yes.
place to.
Yes,
Okay.
3 months later, I came back some days before my mother moved out. And I got the feeling I want to save these pictures of my parents' house. So
Yeah.
I came back. Mm-hmm.
And the streets were also like empty. Nobody
Yes.
is there.
They were empty because it was still the next lockdown. Not the first, the second, but it was the same situation.
I see. Okay. But you didn't. I don't know the regulations from your places. So when you recording, did you bump up with problems with like if there were police or people try to stop you filming like on the streets?
No, I filmed outside the apartment and no.
I see. Okay, cool. Because there was for me it's sorry. For me it was on the streets scene for me it was really made me really sad because I could imagine how lonely you were standing outside and then making that call. So yeah, when I was watching that part I really feel really sad.
Yeah, so when I was watching, I noticed that these images were not taken at the moment, but it almost felt like it didn't really matter because it's so still, and it would have looked the same when you were having those conversations. So it sort of made me think about the time and the absence, and I really loved the final shot. I thought it was really powerful how you held that shot for long.
Thanks.
Okay, maybe could be the word of the temporary ending. I wish you to all to go on the way, not exactly with the same movie, of course, but I hope that we will be able to welcome you again with new projects and new energy in the next edition. I would like to thank you, all of you, to participate in and join in that conversation. Wish you good luck, take care, and see you as soon as possible in the real life, which could be not the after world, but the present world. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good to know you all.